Hello everyone, I am Courtney and today I am talking about the fourth and final book in the An Ember in the Ashes series, A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. So this book came out at the beginning of this month and I wasn't able to immediately read it because I had college finals, but once I was done with those, I was like, it's Sky Beyond the Storm time, baby! I read this book super fast because I honestly just couldn't put it down. The plot was so great. I loved being reunited with Ilius, Leia, Helene, and Harper, and just the whole squad. I had such a fun time reading this book. I think Sabaa did a fantastic job wrapping this story up, and overall I was very satisfied with how things turned out. If you have not read A Sky Beyond the Storm or the An Ember in the Ashes series in general, what are you doing? You are missing out. This is definitely one of the best YA series out there. It's so amazing. I have reviews on all the books, so if you want to learn more about them, I'll link some of my reviews in the description box down below. But if you do not want to be spoiled on this baby, please leave, because I'm going to be majorly spoiling stuff. So go read the series, go read this book, and then come back here so we can discuss it together. So bye-bye! Alrighty, so Sky Beyond the Storm. I'm first going to talk about the plot, because if you aren't aware, I hate talking about the plot of books. I will say for this book though, I am excited to talk about the plot because I actually enjoyed it. The plot of this book was very fast-paced, which for me, I always like finales to be fast rather than slow, because when they're slow, it's just not as exciting, you know? I want that chaotic energy and I don't want to have dull moments, and there definitely was never a dull moment in this book, which I really enjoyed. I also enjoyed how organized this book was, because there's a lot going on in this book, like with the Jinn, the Nightbringer, Karis's army, and then you have the romance and angst from our couples, so there's just a lot going on. And I feel like sometimes with finale books, when there is a lot going on, you can just have absolutely no idea what's going on. But with this, Sabaa just made things very clear. She explained everything very well, which I really appreciated. Now let's talk about the characters, because we all know I love talking about characters, and boy oh boy do I have so many thoughts about the characters in this book. First, I'm gonna start with Ilius, because I honestly just want to get him over with. I've had a very complicated relationship with Ilius. Like, in book one, I absolutely adored him. He was my favorite character in the series. But by the end of the last book, I completely despised him. My reason for hating Ilius is obvious. It's all because he turned into the soul catcher. And I know the argument could be made that, oh, like, Ilius becoming the soul catcher was forced onto him, like he didn't have a choice. But I think Ilius, at least a part of him, willingly chose to become the soul catcher. Like, he definitely had the freedom to say yes or no, and he chose it. And he allowed the Ilius part of him to be washed away so he could become the soul catcher, and that made me really upset. But there has still been this part of me that's been like, oh, like, Ilius can get out of being the soul catcher, he's still good. So going into this book, I was definitely conflicted about him, just because there was one part of me who hated him and the other part of me who loved him, and I was just like, I don't know how to feel. Ilius definitely got on my nerves for a while reading this book, because through his actions and his words, he really showed that, like, he had willingly accepted the role of being the soul catcher, because he would ask everyone to refer to him as the soul catcher. You know, he always wanted to go back to the waiting place, and that just really showed that, like, he willingly chose this life, and it annoyed me so much. But thank God for our girl Leia, because she really smacked some sense into Ilius. She just always remained hopeful that, like, he was still in there, that he could get out of being the soul catcher. And her hope is what kept me hopeful that like that could happen. And it did, and that made me so happy. Speaking of Leia, let's move on to her because I am so proud of this girl. She has come such a long way, and her strength, her love, her determination is just so awe-inspiring to me. What I really enjoyed most about Leia in this book was her interactions with the Nightbringer, which was really surprising for me. But the reason why I liked them so much was because, yes, Leia's obviously very angry at the Nightbringer. He has caused so much hurt to her, to her family, to her people. So obviously she's very upset. But yet she still tried to look at the Nightbringer's perspective of things and tried to reason with him, tried to find a way to, you know, put an end to the suffering and come to a compromise. And she even tried like finding goodness in him, even though she knows like he's done terrible things. Like she was always trying to see the better in him. I just love Leia's caring soul, and you really get to see that in this book, how deep her love and kindness goes. And she's just like one of the brightest, most hopeful characters I've ever read, and I just love her so much. Next, I want to talk about Ilius and Leia, because oh my god, the relationship was so good. Now, they were definitely angsty for a while, which, don't get me wrong, I love me some angst, but also I really like fluff too. So by like the halfway point of this book, I was like just getting really depressed. But as the book goes on, Ilius definitely becomes more like himself, and you get to see him talking to Leia more, touching her more, and she's like all for it because she's all in for this relationship. So there's no like waiting on her part. It's just dumb Ilius who has to get it together. But then the scene with the mango happened, and I don't even know if I should talk about it because it's that hot. Ilius and Leia really looked at Call Me By Your Name and was like, hold my beer. Next, I want to talk about the Nightbringer really quick because I still hate him, but not as much because he actually did a lot of growth in this book, which I'm very proud of because he is just one of those characters where technically his ideas aren't wrong. It's just how he's putting forth those ideas into the world that are. And reading from his perspective just gave me a very better understanding to his character and why he's doing the things that he's doing, as well as having his wife in the book. That was very surprising, but I'm glad she was there because she also helped give a better understanding to who he is. And I just really appreciated the deeper look that we got to the Nightbringer. Next, I want to talk about my girl, Helene, because I adore this woman so much, and she did not disappoint in this book. She was so freaking awesome. Helene once again showed me just how strong she is, because she has already been through enough, but Sabaa said, I'm going to make you suffer more. And she just goes through so much pain in this book with losing Ferris, her sister, almost nearly losing her nephew, and then, you know, she lost Harper. Now, I am the ultimate Helene and Harper shipper. I have been shipping these two even when they weren't like a thing. Like right when Harper showed up in A Torch Against the Night, I was just like, hey, duo TP alert. And their moments in this book did not disappoint. Like the angst between them was just god tier. And then when they finally got together in the pool, I was just like, let's go. And I just loved how they were interacting all the time, how they were kissing all the time. Like it just made my heart so happy. But then the end arrives. and Helene's army is going to face Karis's. Leia is going up against the Nightbringer. Like, it's all about to go down, and Helene is fighting Karis, and she is low-key losing, and Harper decides to help her out and throws her some daggers, but as he's throwing them, his armor gets loose, and Karis throws some blades at him, and they sink into his chest, and he dies! When I read that scene, I went into complete shock. I could not believe what my eyes had just read. And then I completely lost it when Leia takes down the Nightbringer, Karis is killed by Leia's mom, the battle is over, we won, hooray. But Helene goes to visit the dead bodies from the battle, and she goes and finds Harper's, and she says goodbye, and I started sobbing my eyes out. I do not cry at all. I am not an emotional person. Like, even when things happen in my own life, like, I just do not cry. So the fact that I sobbed over Harper's death just goes to show how much he and his relationship to Helene meant to me. Now, I understand why it happened. Okay, I do. Like, looking back at it now, there was definitely foreshadowing to it. And if that is how Sabaa wanted to end Harper's story, then I will respect that. But that doesn't mean that I am okay with what happened, because I'm absolutely not. I am outraged that Harper died. It was so cruel and unfair. He deserved to live a wonderful and happy life with Helene, and I'm one of those people who tries to accept everything in books as canon because I always want to respect what an author does, but this is one of the few cases where I genuinely do not want to accept Harper's death as canon because it hurts too much. I will say that Helene's chapter definitely brought a lot of peace to my soul when it comes to Harper's death, because you get to see her reflect on everything she's gone through. And of course, she's very upset at what's happened, but you get to see her realize that through all the agony she's been through, she has survived, and she's still able to find joy in her nephew, in Leia and Ilius, in her empire, in Musa. And through that, I was just very comforted that, yes, like, it's okay to be angry at Harper dying, but, like, look at Helene. She's still standing, and that just gave me the closure I needed. I also loved Ilias's and Leia's final chapters, with Leia telling the tale of the Nightbringer and keeping his promise by showing the world his story. And I loved that she and Ilius got engaged. That was just the absolute cutest thing in the world, and I'm just so beyond happy that they get to live the rest of their lives with one another. But I think that's all I have to say for A Sky Beyond the Storm. Besides Harper dying, this generally was a great finale book, and I'm so happy with how Sabaa wrapped things up. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comments down below what were your thoughts on the finale. Did you like it? Did you not? I would love to discuss with you guys in the comment section down below. And I am Courtney, and I'll see you all next time with a new video soon. So I will see you then. So